I am Gareth Falls. I'm a consultant medical herbalist, and I'm here today to do a review on the Green Thumb Guide's Herbalist Hub. It's a Notion template. It's a database that would be suitable for all student practitioners who are learning herbal medicine, as well as self-employed businesses. Now, just to kind of flag up, I've been working with Sita on this for a while, so there's a little bit of bias, but I'm the person that's doing the video just to introduce what this Herbalist Hub template actually offers you. Now, there's a lot of dispensary software out there. There is Healthy, there's Medicine Tree or Dispensary Tree, and then there's something like this. Now, the advantages of the Herbalist Hub Pro is that it is extremely cheap in comparison to some of the monthly subscriptions that might be out there, and it's flexible. This is something that you can make for yourself. So what is it, and why is it useful for students right through to practitioners? The Herbalist Hub Pro is an all-in-one workspace, and basically it is built for you as a herbalist and as a professional practitioner, but it's allowing you to start early and to actually populate your monographs, your prescriptions, and looking at some of the formulations that you might have once you go into practice. It is connected with databases for your clients, for the formulas of your recipes and your materia medica. I've also connected mine to my retail outlet, and I can sync stock intakes and ensure that I am costing properly, and I do that through Zapier. Now, this system is pre-built. It has databases, trackers, and workflows so that you don't actually have to do anything about it. But it is built specifically for clinical practice, and there's a couple of versions on the Green Thumb Guide. You can have one that is just for herbalists, and you can have one for the Herbalist Pro option. I highly recommend going for the Herbalist Pro if you're planning to go into practice, because it means everything is set up and you're not having to custom make your database after. So without further ado, what is it that you are going to get? Well, let me just bring up the one that I have adapted for myself. So this is highly customizable. You can see that I've put in my brand name as the Wild Sage, and I've put in the photograph along with a logo. Now, as you scroll down here, this is the home page in essence, where I can look at upcoming appointments. I can ensure what's happening on a day-to-day basis and click on it and find out things. Some of this I've populated, some of them at this point in time I haven't. The appointments I manage through Square, so it's not something that I have spent much time on. However, if you go down here, you can see that you can click on your clients. Now, if you're having clients, because I am in Europe and I have GDPR to worry about, I have a client code. So what you can see is I will have WSAG1. And part of the patient intake form I can customize, but you can see here some of the things that might be relevant. Again, because of GDPR, I don't have phone numbers or contact emails. I keep that in a separate database. As you scroll down, you can ask questions like your children, who lives at home, whether or not they have pets, if they smoke or drink. And then for those of you who are tuning to do herbal medicine, you'll find all of this pretty familiar. So presenting complaints, onset, circumstance, progression, any precipitating factors, any aggravating factors, any associating manifestations or previous treatments. You can look at previous medical history, health concerns, past medical surgeries, any allergies, any immunizations, diet, and then as you can see, as you scroll on down, you can look at the systems. Now, you can actually do your patient summary and connect it into AI, so it will take all of the information above and round it up into a patient summary, and then that will allow you to do differential diagnosis. Now, you can set it up for AI to do that for you. I highly recommend you don't, because it will make mistakes. And then you can put in your working diagnosis and management plan, and then I'll come to the prescription in a minute. Now, again, this is not part of it that I have populated heavily. It's one that I'm playing with in part because of the GDPR bit, but it's just to let you see what kind of things you can do. So in this instance, it was somebody who had fractured their femur in 2015, health concerns or stress, anxiety, digestive issues, hypothyroidism, metabolic disorder, had a tonsillectomy, and you can see part of the history of this person. Again, I'll come into medication history in just a moment. So that is to do with the patient intake. Now I can also go into writing the prescription for them. Let me see, WSAG, if I open that one, I think I did do a prescription here for this one. So this is the prescription. I'm going to open that up for you, and you can see that this was a prescribed product. It was a tincture. It was oral, 7.5 mils twice a day, taken in between meals, and the formula contained gallium-apirin, reishi spore oil, echinacea, artemisia annua, licorice, and 15 mils of usnea. So that was the formula. The total volume of this is 105 mils. Most of you who are dispensing will be familiar that that would allow me to give 5 mils 3 times a day, 7.5 mils twice a day. The bottle size, it's going to go into a 315 ml bottle because it will be 105 mils for 3 weeks. I can repeat the volume multiplier, so it will be times 3 in essence, or repeat number of prescriptions, which means that I can repeat this prescription twice before the person would have to see me again. The prescribed products, so these are related databases. I write the recipe, I can put in the monographs. Now, if I click on the monographs, you will see that the plant family is the Polyporaceae. It's from Asia, and what part is used, and you'll also find out what I have in my inventory, the medical indications, the aromatic uses, the actions, any precautions, preparation method, if it was an essential oil, and then you can see that I've started to put these reishi into certain prescriptions from my recipe book, and you'll also see that it's connected to my disease database. All of this will become familiar to you in a minute or two. Now, the ratio for that particular reishi is a 1:3. It's a 25% alcohol, so it is the polysaccharides that you're going to have in that, and the database continues. Now let me go back to where we were at with the prescription. You can see that the prescription then is costed per mil for each individual ingredient. You can also find out that it's using a bottle, a label, and an aluminium cap. All of those are independently costed. So you can see that I've got 1 mil of each of these ingredients, and it will come to a total formula cost. So this is each mil following the recipe up here. So 20 mils at 7 will be multiplied in a separate database, and then you can work out your total cost is $16.50 for the formula for the 3 weeks. Your packaging cost is $134 for the bottle, for the label, and for the aluminium cap. The total formula cost then would be $17.84. The markup is 2.4. The price charged to the customer is going to be $42.82. You can charge VAT if you're VAT registered, and there's a formula for that. So you would put in 0.2 and it would give you the VAT amount, and then add it into the final price with VAT. Now, if I stay with this, you can also see that we can have session history. So you've met the patient on one day and there's been a follow-up appointment that you can scroll on, date of appointment, the duration, the fee, and you can find out what medicines the person might have been on. And then you have this symptom tracker. Now, I don't have that populated just at the moment because I've been working elsewhere. So let me go back to the prescriptions that you might want to write. So we'll go into the recipe book. So this is for my recipes that are standardized that I'm going to have in the shop. So you have an acne gel serum, you have my adrenal tea, you have a balance tea. So let's choose balance tea just for it's there. So it's a tea. It is finalized, it was last updated, and I can put a description of the tea blend, and then you can find that I have my ingredients. So this is tulsi, spearmint, cinnamon, cardamom, rose, and what's the other herb? Centella. You also find that it's attached to the monograph where you can find out about each of the individual herbs, safety dosages, any contraindications are all going to be connected into that. The packaging in this case is going to be the label, a soup container, and a watermark label. And the medicinal purpose, well, it's an adaptogen, it's anti-stress, anti-anxiety, calming, and warming. The dose, 1 tablespoon of tea per cup, drink freely, PRN, and then you can do storage instructions. So I have keep away from children and pets, store in a sunlight-free place, and away from humidity. You can have the shelf life as 2 years, PAO. There's a couple of options that I've put into that. Then you can have the image of the tea, and you can have the link to the website. So this will send me to my shop site where you can see my balanced tea. it is all available. So coming back to the Notion then, you can see any safety precautions. There's none associated with this herbal tea. The ingredient amounts. So I have then the recipe. So this was the tulsi, peppermint, cinnamon, cardamom, rose and scintilla at what ratios. You can see that it's costed per gram or per mil. So again, you just have to work out 16 times 2, calculate the total cost and put it into this button, total formula cost. You can also connect this through a Zapier spreadsheet if you wanted to have that formulated for you. Your packaging cost is 20p in total. Your total cost for the tea and the packaging. The markup, the retail price then would be $3.74. Now you might want to add in a cost of dispensing, or you might want to do a wholesale price. That's completely up to you, but this is just showing how adaptable the spreadsheet is. So I've gone from recipes. Let's go into the materia medica. I showed you a little bit briefly, but this is what it generally looks like. So I have got 922 different items on my sheet. That is kind of done according to Latin name is what the search function is, but you can see that I put the English on the left hand side. Now if I want to go into yarrow, you'll find lots of information here on yarrow. So it's part of the Asteraceae. You can find out where it's found, what growing zone, the harvest season and the parts used. In here there is a section on the active compounds, so you can see that there's bitter, furanocoumarins, resins, sesquiterpene, lactones, tannins and volatile oils. Now there's probably quite a few more. I don't know if they've all been populated just at this minute in time. You can see that in my inventory, I'll come to that in a moment, I have got yarrow tincture and I have got yarrow herb. Medicinal indications, so it's anti-inflammatory, it's antimicrobial, it's a peripheral vasodilator. So again, you can see why this is useful if you're a student trying to get ready for your examination. Energetics, so this is about the energetic of the herb and what it is known for. So it's known for calming, for balancing properties. It is used to promote emotional stability and support during times of stress. And I think of it as helping with boundaries. It's believed to enhance intuition and provide protective energy, primarily a dry herb. That's things that you might want to just comment on so that you become familiar with your herb. Now, precautions. These were the things that you would need to be worried about. Avoided during pregnancy. There's a caution if you're epileptic. And you can look at what kind of preparations are available. The essential oil, an extract or a tincture. You can also have a herbal tea in here. So let me just put that in. Herbal tea. The hydrosol form is available. As to whether or not I use it, I don't really. Okay, here's some of the recipes that it's involved in. It probably isn't an awful lot more. It's just that I haven't populated my prescriptions yet. It's used frequently. And then I have the disease database. So these are the diseases that this herb is indicated for. And you can see that there's an awful lot of diseases that are relevant to the disease database. You can find out that from my suppliers, I get it as a fluid extract. I have it at 35% alcohol. The maximum weekly dose is 20 mils. Any other plant names that are relevant. And then if I want to add any comments, if there's any references, if there's a book that I've been reading, let me see what else I can go for. Yarrow, open, and let's go for dyspepsia. So dyspepsia, we have the root cause, gut and brain axis dysfunction, and gut dysregulation. There are two more, so let me see what that brings up. Visceral hypersensitivity and altered gut motility. You have the systems affected, digestive and immune. When managing your dyspepsia, then there might be some dietary recommendations. So you can put that in there, so it's just easy to pull up, copy and paste. You can see herb suggestions, ginger, peppermint, chamomile, supplements that you could be recommending for dyspepsia. You could have lifestyle recommendations, what might be useful. And then here's a list of herbs that are all associated with dyspepsia that are linked back to your monographs. I have on this list an essential oil database. So this is a list of essential oils, the Latin, the botanical name, and again, some of the safety and precautions. Now, I don't have lots of essential oils, so there's 53 as part of this, and some of that would have been from the Green Thumb Guide. We've talked a little bit about the disease database, so you can see all of the different diseases that are mentioned and that we've been linking into, and we've been populating that over the last few weeks. Alright, I'll come to the library in a second, but for now I want to go to the dispensary inventory. So this is the herbs that I have in the shop, and you'll see that I have got it, in some cases, the same herb listed 2 times or 3 times. So in this instance, we have Albizia lebec as a tincture, and I have Albizia lebec as a dried herb or as a tea. Now you can see that's actually back to front. The tincture will be this one because it's £43. So let me just tincture. Take that out, and we'll put in tea here just to make sure that's accurate. Okay, so our Albizia is linked to the monographs. You can find that I have it in the unit types. You can see that my supplier is here, the purchasing price. You can see if it's available in store, wholesale, or online only. And as you scroll across, you can find out the cost of material at 100. So this is 100 mils because I sell it at 100 mils. The shipping price, so this is the postage it costs for them to post out the herb to me. The total cost, the VAT involved, the basic markup, then you'll see, the packaging cost for me to put it into retail, and the unit cost, the wholesale price, and the final price. So let me just open this up so you can have a look at the agrimony. So I have the raw material ready to sell. It's a tincture. The product description I haven't actually put on yet, but you can see that I can. You can see it's connected to the monograph. It's 750 mils that I have in stock. My restock threshold, so once I go into 500, I'll get an alert to say that I need to order it in. Do I need a restock needed? Possibly, because I use it quite regularly. My supplier name, it was last restocked. It's a new database, I haven't got that far. Purchasing price, $15.48 for a litre. Is it made in-house? No. What recipes is it involved in, what batch numbers, and you can find out my packaging material. So it's my bottle, my label, my pipette, where it's available, the cost of material for 100 mils, the packaging costs for 100 mils, total cost, markup, retail price, that, and then my wholesale price if I want to sell my tinctures wholesale. And then you can see that the unit cost is already formulated so that whenever I go to write my prescription, I know what it is per mil, and I can see what prescriptions I put it in, and I can store it into my Google Drive. Like, loads of information here, guys. So this is just something that I want you to get familiar with and see just exactly how useful this could be. Now, what I have done is I have my dispensary inventory, which is what I'm going to be pulling in if I'm making prescriptions or if I'm writing recipes. It's going to come from my inventory where I'm dispensing. I've also got a very similar retail inventory, and the reason for the retail inventory, and you can see that this is barcoded, is that this is linked to my Square account, and you can see that I've got it in categories, whether or not it contains alcohol, if it can be delivered or if it's going to be picked up in the shop. The descriptions are in this one because it goes onto my website. You can see that I have got the online sale prices, what options, what links are there, and then you can find out the prices, the SEO descriptions, the SEO title. So all of that will be automated to Square so that once there's an order, it comes out of my Square inventory, and that can be linked if it's relevant to my dispensary inventory. Now, going back to the library, so this again is more for the students than the professionals. You can see that in the library, I haven't got anywhere on this one yet, but you can put in what books you're currently reading, and you can find out a little bit more information on it, the description, the author, whether or not you think it's a good book, what it's relevant for, and then you can put notes for it. So at the minute, I'm reading a book on testosterone by Bunner, and that's one of the things that I'm going to be adding into this as I go along. And it also means that I can take information and then put it into the databases or into my Materia Medica as I please. If you are listening to your lectures within classes, you would be able to go and add currently listening to or put in any notes from your classes and then put it into the inventory or the Materia Medica as relevant to you. So then I have into tasks. So this is a list of tasks that I may need to do today, what's in progress and what's been completed. Finance, you can do, so again, this isn't particularly relevant. I have 2 businesses that's running, so I have my finance associated with QuickBooks and it's not connected to the database in any way. But what I do for my own finance for consultations and for teaching is I have some information I keep stored in here, and it's just something that I find useful to pull up for tax returns, etc. And then you have the toolbox. So this is where you cost those items that aren't necessarily herbs. Things like your aluminium caps. The container is the category, what condition, the storage location, who it is that supplies it, the cost per piece, and the cost per unit when you buy it, and then you can put where you store it and also in what products are they associated with. So a really useful tool to kind of have a look at it. And that really is, I think, about it. So the reason I am excited about this, I have wanted a database that was synced and I couldn't get my head around how to make it work. I couldn't figure out how to get this to the point of where it would become useful and how I could actually make use of it and efficient in business practice. There were products around, but you were having to pay every month for it and it was expensive and maintaining it was difficult. And you also had to set up all of the herbs, all of the plants, all of the dispensing, and it just didn't flow very easily. And I felt that even though they may have offered a free trial, I wasn't getting anywhere very soon. Whenever I came across this, it was accidental. It was a search that I had done and I came across the Green Thumb Guide. And I'll put a link in at the end of this. But the reason I liked this, we started it, whenever I clicked on it, we started with a database and I contacted Sita and said, look, I think you're onto something. I think it's really effective, really good, but I do think it needs to be improved for practitioners and for students. And I sent a lot of recommendations and Sita was wonderful in saying, you know, thank you so much for the criticism. I really love it and I'm going to put all of what you've suggested into practice. And she did. And she's completely revolutionized this database into something that is really productive and really useful. Now, whenever you go to buy the database, and it's not particularly expensive now, it's $49 US. And whenever you have that all-in-one workspace, I will be getting some of the commission for it because of the time and effort we put into it. When you buy this, you will get a blank database that looks very much like what I have. But whenever you are going on to it, you will have to populate most of the materia medica, all of the recipes, and some of the essential oils, etc. yourself. So it does take time, which is why this is something for students to start with. If you are starting as you mean to go on and you're populating this for your assignments, referencing it, making sure everything is in place, then you will be ready to go into business once that comes to pass for you. If you are a business, then you do need to set aside time to be able to populate this and make sure that it is working for you. It is well worth the effort. It's so useful for me in practice. It now means that my staff will be able to dispense prescriptions because they will be able to access it without compromising the data protection issues that we've mentioned earlier. And it's just a profoundly useful tool. So look, that's it for now. You can find all of the information at the Green Thumb, and I'll put below the link to that directly. Thanks for listening. Hopefully this is of use to you. Cheers.